Welcome to VA Connection. We are glad to have you with us tonight and hope you will take away some gold nuggets to apply to your small business. Please allow me to introduce tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone, and yes, we are glad to have you with us tonight. I am so excited to introduce our guest tonight, who is a virtual assistant as well as a VA coach. Alyssa Avant is an author, speaker, virtual assistant, and virtual assistant coach. She has 8 years of experience working from home. Alyssa is the author of FaithLeaps, The Christian Mom's Guide to Passion, Purpose, and Profits, and also FaithLeaps, The Christian Mom's Guide to Starting a Virtual Assistant Business. She is a wife and a mom of 3. She and her family call and toddlers, she earned diaper money. As they grew, she earned money for groceries. At present, her income pays for their private school tuition each month. In this segment, Alyssa will share with you the first 10 steps she encourages anyone to take in order to become a virtual assistant. You'll be so excited when you begin earning an income that will be a blessing to your family while being able to serve and assist business owners as well. Alicia, are you out there? Alicia?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted.
That's okay. I have given a background with your bio. Do you have anything that you would like to add to that?
No, you covered me very well. That was a very great introduction for me.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the day of a virtual assistant.
Okay, well, a virtual assistant, being a virtual assistant is a very flexible job, which is one of the things, or flexible business. One of the things I enjoy about it because of the fact that I do have children, and as you know, when you have kids, things aren't always, you don't have the same days every day. Every day is new and unique. And like for an example, today my kids got out of school early because we're getting close to the Christmas holidays and they're winding down, and so they got out of school at 11:30, so I had to make some adjustments. But on a typical day, I'll take my kids to school between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, and I come home and I try to do my devotional time and just some quiet time and getting a few housekeeping things done. And then I normally start my day as my business at around 9 o'clock. And then I work with a couple breaks here and there. I work until it is time to go get the kids in the afternoon, which is I have to leave here between 2:30 and 3 o'clock to get them. And then I don't typically work after they get home because that's that's their homework time and their snack time and doing things as a family, dinner and everything. So I normally don't work after those hours.
Right. So do you spend your full day working as a virtual assistant in
coach to training others to do to have their own business? I have moved more in the direction of I will spend a few hours on client work, and typically 2 to 3 hours a day on client work, and then I will spend 2 to 3 hours a day on working on my business. I like to tell my VA trainees that you have to work both in your business, working for someone else, and then you have to work on your own business working for yourself in order to keep your business thriving.
Right, right. So what exactly is a virtual assistant?
Okay, so to be honest, when I became a virtual assistant, I didn't nearly know that that's what I was doing. At the time, I knew that I had learned certain tasks by working online and by being online, and those included, writing blog posts, scheduling blog posts, setting up emails, creating WordPress websites, all those things that I was doing. I didn't realize that was what I was doing was VA work. But according according to what we know as a virtual assistant, typically abbreviated VA, it's generally a person who is self-employed and provides administrative, technical, creative, or social assistance to clients remotely from a home office.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting. Would you say that anybody could be a virtual assistant?
I do. I say that anybody could be a virtual assistant because I believe that we all have skills that someone else is willing to pay us for. In fact, when I do training webinars and things about becoming a VA to try to get people interested, I always tell them if you can copy and paste using your computer, then you can be a virtual assistant. And while there probably are still people out there that don't know how to copy and paste, it is a skill or a task that you can easily learn to do.
Right. I agree. What are the benefits of becoming a VA?
Well, as I mentioned, one of the things that I like about being a virtual assistant is that I have the flexibility that I have in my day. I can set my own hours, and so as a VA, you can set your own hours. You can set your own rate. You can decide what you will and you will not offer. You can choose the type of work that you specialize in. You can choose the type of client that you want to work with and the person you want to market to. And I recommend that a virtual assistant specialize in something, meaning that they specialize in a particular skill set or type of service that they're going to offer, or that they specialize in helping a particular type of client. And sometimes you can marry those two things and you can, work for a specific group of people doing a specific service, and that even makes it even better. But those are the things that I recommend. And those are the benefits, of being a VA.
Right. And those are great benefits. So would you say that it's better to target in on what you do well than to try to be all over the map doing a little bit of everything?
Absolutely. I like to use the analogy. I heard this from someone else, so I really can't claim it, but I don't know who I heard it from. Using the analogy, you don't want to be Walmart. So we can't all be Walmart. We think that, and, we do know that you can pretty much get anything at Walmart, but you don't want to try to be a Walmart virtual assistant because there are so many different things that you could offer. And while, yes, it's great to be able to do a little bit of everything, I have found from years of experience that it's better, and I have found better clients by specializing and knowing the type of person I want to work with and knowing the skills that I excel at and the things that I enjoy doing makes for a much happier client and a much happier virtual assistant.
Right. Well, you have that it's an advantage to business owners being a VA. Can you go further into that with what you were telling us about the benefits of becoming a VA?
Yes, it is also advantageous to the business owners that hire us because they are then able to have someone that can take care of the many tasks in their business that they don't have time for or the skills for, but they have the ability to have that assistant without having to provide an office, without having to be responsible for an employee and in terms of taxes or insurance or benefits, and that is usually a huge undertaking for a business owner to have to provide all of those things. So for them to have the help that they need without having to do those things is a huge benefit to the business owner.
Right. I was just going to say that is they actually save money by hiring a virtual assistant.
Yes, definitely. I have worked for brick and mortar businesses, in other states, and that was the purpose. The reason that they were looking for someone virtually is because of the benefits of not having to have them in the office, pay their taxes, or provide any insurance or benefits to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the 10 steps that you encourage a virtual assistant to go through in order to become a VA.
Okay, so yes, I have 10 steps. Do you want to cover this? Do you want me to outline those for you, or cover them just one at a time?
Let's cover them one at a time for those who may be taking notes, and that way they can jot that down.
Okay, great. That sounds good. Okay, so number one, and I briefly mentioned this, but number one is to decide on your services. I believe that it's a good idea to make a list of the skills that you are capable of doing. And sometimes it's even great to ask your friends or to ask people that have worked with you before, because sometimes we don't see the abilities that we have and others see those abilities. And as you're doing that, or as soon as you're finished doing that, I want you to go back and actually mark off anything that you don't enjoy doing. Because even though you're good at it, doesn't necessarily mean that you want to spend all day, every day doing it, and doesn't necessarily mean that you will enjoy it. You want to be able to enjoy what you're doing. And so keep in mind that as you determine these different skills that you have that can then become services, you don't want to you want to try not to box yourself into something you really dislike doing, even though you're good at it.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that's number one, deciding on your services. Number two is to develop a specialty. As I said, you don't want to be Walmart. You want to have a specific skill set or specific set of skills that can make you unique, that helps you to stand out from your competition. It helps to put you in much more demand than if you're a Jack or Jill of all trades. And that can sound odd that you can do one task and be in more demand than someone who can do many tasks, but it's very true. So you think about it like this. If you were going to go to the doctor, and you could go and see a general practitioner, or you could go and see a doctor who serves the specific needs for what you're dealing with. For example, I have in the past dealt with and still deal with, some skin issues. Okay, well, I've been to a general practitioner before and shown them the skin issues that I had and things like that, but they weren't able to really pinpoint and help me with my specific needs. So they sent me to a dermatologist who was able to tell me more about the issues, who was able to help me, address the issues that I had. The same thing can happen with a virtual assistant. We must be able to serve the biggest ache or pain that our clients are experiencing and eliminate that or assist them in that area. So that's why it's good to specialize. And you can come at your specialization from a couple of ways. Like I said before, you can come at that where I want to specialize and help this particular group of people, or you can come at it from a different perspective and I want to specialize in these are the things that I can do. Some examples might be you might want to provide email marketing. You might want to provide social media assistance. You might want to provide travel and scheduling assistance. Those are just some examples of some things that you could provide that would be a specialization.
Mm-hmm. So how important is it to choose a name for your business?
Okay, so number 3 is to choose a name. I believe that it's important to determine first, like we were talking about, your services and your specialization, and that helps to go into naming your business. And there's a few ways that you can do that. You can go using your own name. I originally, when I first started my business, used just my name, and I bought the domain AlyssaAvant.com, and I used that for my business name. Since I have developed my business, I at one time had, I don't currently, but at one time I had some team members in my business. I decided to lengthen that into Alyssa Avant and Company, but it was still very much, I was, branding it as myself. You can also choose a name that's related to your niche area that you're serving, or your target market. And I know VAs that work with real estate agents, so they might call themselves something related to real estate. I know VAs that work with direct sales people, so they call themselves related to that. It might be related to the specific specialty area that you have, in social media or email. And there are pros and cons to everything, but it's a very important step to set you apart is to name your business.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what would be number 4, Alyssa?
So number 4, we've gone through deciding on your services, developing a specialty, choosing a name, and now fourthly, you want to set your rates. By far, this is probably the step that most people struggle with. It's important to do your research about your particular target market, the services, and the specialty area that you have chosen in order to see, what's out there. What is your competition charging? And you don't want it to let it overwhelm you, though, in the respects of, okay, there's all these people that are providing this, there's not room for me. That's just not the case. There's plenty of work to go around, and you can remain confident in your own abilities, but you want to never undervalue yourself. I know in the early days of doing business, I undercharged more often than not, and that was one of the reasons that I didn't grow as quickly as I wanted to, because as we all know, it takes money to make money sometimes, and because I was not charging enough, I wasn't able to invest back into my business, and I wasn't able to get tools and resources that I needed. And so the growth for me was it took much longer because of that, and it made me feel I didn't have the confidence that I needed in the beginning because I wasn't charging what I was worth. And so you have to value what you have to offer when you're setting your rates.
Mm-hmm. Is there a certain or an acceptable range of rates that a VA would charge?
Experience, but more often than not, based on your knowledge and expertise, because there are certain tasks, obviously, that anybody can do that would be just common tasks, more tasks. And then there are some that are specialized tasks. So there are things that you would have to have specialized knowledge to do, in particular programs. For example, I know that a very popular program is Infusionsoft. Well, you have to have specialized training to use that program. And so because you have invested the time and the resources and your money, most likely, I think it even costs to get the training, you're able to charge more. So I have heard of people charging, in the United States, of course, because we do know that we have foreign competitors that charge much less than we do. But in the United States, United States-based virtual assistant, I have seen charging rates anywhere from $10 to $65 an hour. So, I mean, it's a very big range. Of course, most of that I'm around, that I've been in circles with, are kind of in the middle of that. So $15, $20, $25, $30, $35 an hour, kind of a mid-range in that. But, of course, I recommend starting no less than $10 an hour. In fact, I tell my VAs to start higher than that. But as you work with clients, not necessarily, raise the rates of that client, but as you get more clients and you get more confident, begin to raise your rates as you get new people. It just makes it easier, and it helps you to kind of gain some confidence. And as you get new skills, as you put new skills under your belt, you can charge more. So that's what I recommend doing there.
Does it matter where you live? Say you are in the United States. Does it matter where you live in the United States as to how you would charge?
No, because you are going to be working with people from everywhere. I live in the South. The South has, I live in the poorest state in the United States, which is Mississippi. And so, therefore, things are cheaper here. But there's no way that I could get a job charging the rates that I charge now. But it doesn't mean just because I'm living in Mississippi that I charge. And I have before. I would be paid much less because of where I live. But I'm working with clients I have clients in Colorado, I have clients in Oregon, I have clients I'm just trying to think of the state, Texas, I have clients in other states. So obviously, if I go to those states, I would be paid, different rates, obviously, if I were in businesses, brick and mortar businesses in those states. So I set my rates based on my skills and my abilities and my knowledge and expertise, rather than based on where I'm located.
Mm-hmm. How important is it to create a plan?
Okay, well, my favorite phrase, and this is my number 5, is creating a plan. One of my favorite phrases is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It's one of my favorite quotes and a real one to live by, especially when it comes to business. So those of us who choose to plan ahead will be much more successful than those of us who choose to wing it. Personally, I'm not a fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants type of person. I believe that you should consider when you're going into business when you will work, how many hours you want to work, where you will work. Will you choose to set up a home office, or are you going to work from your couch? Do you want to work, full-time? Do you want to work part-time? Do you want to have a full, do you want to have multiple clients, or are you looking for just a couple clients that you can work a lot of hours for? It just depends, and you have the ability in this business to choose how you want to do things, and you can choose whichever way you want, but you need a plan regardless of that so that you can succeed, so that you know what you're aiming for. And that kind of goes with my next step in this 10-step process, is to set goals. And I've been talking a lot about goals with my community, those that, follow me on a regular basis, because it's almost the new year. And right now is a great time to start a virtual assistant business. December is a slow month, but we've got January coming. And it's almost like, it's almost like when there's a new day coming. It's hope. It's just so neat to be able to go into. It's a hopeful thing to go into a new year. And goals are similar to plans, which is why I put these two kind of hand in hand. They give you that extra oomph that you need to keep going. And another quote is, a goal without a dream is just a wish. And so I believe that you need to set goals to make the dreams that you have in your life and in your business become true. And so you sit down and you make a list of those goals, and then you work backwards trying to figure out, okay, this is my goal, but what action steps do I have to take to make that goal happen, to make that goal come true, I try to not set too many goals, because obviously you don't want to overwhelm yourself, but, setting some goals that will help you get started in your business for the new year, it's a great time to do that so that you can know where you're going. Goals give you direction, and you have to make those. You have to take action steps to make them happen.
Right. Just like I live in Louisiana, so to not have some goals, which I call those a roadmap or a guide to get me from where I'm starting to where I want to end up. So I wouldn't travel from Louisiana to Nebraska without a map.
Yeah. You'd have your GPS or something.
Right.
Exactly. Well, and this kind of relates to our next step as well. These all kind of go hand in hand, and that is, even in our business, even once you get your business set up, you want to create, the seventh thing that I recommend doing is to create some systems. Your systems are a specific way of doing something. You might, I give the example of doing laundry. You and your family might have very specific way of doing laundry. Now, there are probably 200,000 different ways, that people do laundry. Some people might, fold a towel one way. I noticed, like, when I got married, that my husband folded towels different than my dad taught me to fold towels, and it used to drive me crazy. But, there's a way to do things, and I'm not saying that his way is wrong and my way was right or anything like that. I'm just saying that you figure out your own way of doing things, and you figure out your own system. And there will be differences, but we all have a specific way in which we work best. So creating a series of steps or systems for the tasks that you're going to do over and over again in your business makes it more simple to run your business and to carry out your services and to help others, to help your clients.
Right.
You will want to take the time to do this, in order to make things honestly, it's just to make things run better and to make it less stressful on you. Some of those things that I recommend having a system for is like, okay, so you're wanting to find new clients. Well, how will you go about that? That's your client, your lead system. Then you want, once you get a client, what happens next? I've had people call me and they were surprised that I had, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do next, and you'll get this from me. They were really shocked because they had worked with people in the past that, even after they called them and talked to them and gave them their money, they still didn't know what was going to happen, So having a way, a specific system that, hey, once I get off the phone with you, now that you're my client, you can expect this from me, and a specific thing, a way of communicating with your clients, of invoicing your clients, of getting the task from your clients. How is that all going to take place? And it's easier and it flows much better when you have almost a checklist of this. These are the things I need to do when I get a new client, or these are the things I need to do when I'm setting up a new project for a client.
So it is good to have systems, and I would say that when you have a system in place and you speak with a client, that confidence comes across.
Yes, it does. I was going to say, one of the reasons that I believe, and it relates, but it's getting off topic a little bit, but one of the reasons I believe that being able to talk with a client on the phone is important, and that's a part of a system. Okay, part of my system is once I have a lead, which is a person that could potentially become a client, once I have contact with them, I try to get them on the phone. And the reason I try to get them on the phone is because I know that if I talk to them, I can convert them to a client better than if I just email them. And in my early days of this, I'll be honest, I didn't do this. I had a baby, I had a toddler, and I had a preschooler when I first started my business. In fact, when I first started it, I had a baby and a toddler, and then it became a baby, a toddler, and a preschooler. So, and then, now they're middle school and elementary students. But I would do anything not to have to talk on the phone because I was so afraid they would hear the baby crying, or they would hear the toddler screaming, or they would, hear the preschooler needing me to come help him in the restroom or whatever. I knew that I didn't want that to happen, and so I didn't talk on the phone. And that was one of the things that held me back in my business, that kept me from growing with my inability to do that. But I still was able to have a business. But if I knew then what I know now, being able to get on the phone with a client gives you the opportunity to share your knowledge and expertise with them, and to share your skills, and to share the fact that, hey, this is how I do things, and that gives them the confidence in you, and it gives them a sense of security in you, because they can hear your voice, they can hear that you care, they can hear that you've got your act together, they can hear that you're organized, and they can hear that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing. And that can come across so much better on the phone than it does in an email. So that's just kind of a side note. It gives you an
opportunity to add your personal touch. I mean, and not touch, but that, rather than, because you can't be face to face, at least if you can have a conversation with them. I mean, it's much like if you call into some of the call centers and you get an automated.
Right. It's the difference between an automated system and a person. We're all so excited when we get a real person. I saw a friend that I know online. She posted on Facebook today that, these automated systems aren't set up for mothers of small children, because they tell you to, say to, or say the reason for your call, and your kids scream, and then they're like, I don't understand you, and it's just infuriating trying to answer that system. So it gives you a personal, because sometimes it's infuriating for a client to have to go through a website or a form or a whatever to try to figure out if they want to work with you or not. Just, that's why I say just get them on the phone, because you're going to win them over so much easier, and it's really not that hard to do, just by sharing what you know and the way you do business.
Right. So what would be the next step?
Well, now that you know all these things, this stuff that we've talked about so far is kind of setting the groundwork. Now you've got to put yourself out there. So step number 8 is to set up just a basic website. And it does not have to be anything expensive. Getting a website these days is so inexpensive. And it's the way that you can put yourself out there, promote your services. It's like your business card almost. And a basic website can share the information with the potential clients that you have and show them what you have to offer, and just give them that basic information, because it is good for them to have some knowledge of you before they get on the phone with you. So that's what that does. It's kind of a calling card or a business card of our century. It's just a basic website.
Do you have a preference, Alyssa? I mean, as far as, would you recommend WordPress or Weebly or Wix? I mean, is there one that is better than the other?
Well, anybody that has been online long enough would argue for their favorite, and my favorite is WordPress. The reason I like WordPress is it's professional, it's SEO friendly, but there are some differences, and people get confused about the differences. WordPress has 2 platforms. They have WordPress.com, which you can go over to WordPress.com, much like if you went to Blogger.com, and you can obtain a domain name that will have the WordPress.com in the URL. So if I went over there and wanted to get my name, it would say, and you would have to type this in if you were going to visit my website, alyssaavant.wordpress.com. It's not personalized. You do not own it. It is owned by WordPress.com. It is free, but it is owned by WordPress.com. Well, people argue, well, I could go buy my URL and point it to this website. It's still owned by WordPress.com, which is why I recommend using the .org or the open source version of WordPress on your own domain on hosting that you purchase. Now, hosting, a lot of people don't understand this whole process either. You have to think about it like if you buy your URL, it's like you're obtaining an address, okay? So this is my address, like 100 Broad Lane or whatever. My address is AlyssaAvant.com. But then you have to have a place to sit, a place to reside, and so you get hosting, which is like paying rent on being able to have this address. And so you get hosting, and it's approximately anywhere from $5 on up, depending on if you want hosting that's shared, with other people, or hosting that's just yours by yourself. I still use shared hosting. It's about $10 a month, but I have multiple websites on that hosting package, and so I have hosting. And then I installed the free WordPress open source program. I pay for the hosting every month, and I pay a yearly fee for that domain. A domain usually costs you about $12 to $15 now per year. So it's not a huge expense. People think, they hear the word website, and they think this template built in. You can purchase themes, which are basically like putting on, dressing up your home in so to speak, your home on the web. And some of those are paid, some of those are free. While I do recommend paying for themes because they have less glitches and things, even that doesn't have to be expensive. The themes that are on my website cost less than $100. So, and that was a one-time expense, not the expense that you have to pay over and over again. You just pay it and, you're done. So it can be very basic, and it's going to cost you, all in all, even if you paid for a year's worth of hosting all at once, and you paid for your domain, you paid for a theme, to set up a basic website, you would probably still spend less than a couple $100. So, it's not a big expense.
Okay. And I notice more and more people are moving to the responsive themes that are more mobile friendly.
Yes. Well, like, for example, a client and I were talking today about, she had a sign up on her website for an upcoming event. And we were talking about the fact that we needed to make it as easy as possible for someone to sign up, even if they were on a mobile device. Because so many people, I have talked with people who don't even own a computer, but they do a lot of what a normal family does from their cell phone or from their iPad or tablet. So, yes, you need to make it as friendly as possible, because if you go with a theme that's not mobile friendly, then it's going to be very difficult for someone who is on their mobile device or tablet to read your text and navigate on your site without the mobile friendly options.
Right. So number 9, step number 9.
Step number 9, we're to number 9, which is to obtain some extra encouragement and support for getting started. I know that getting started is just a matter of taking some very specific steps, and it can sound overwhelming, but in fact it can be quite an adventure and a good experience for you when you're wanting to start your business. But if you need some extra encouragement and support, I wanted to invite the listeners to be a part of a group that I have on Facebook. It's a free group, and it's called How to Start a Virtual Assistant Business. And all you have to do is go over to Facebook, and in the search box, type in How to Start a Virtual Assistant Business, and it pops up. You have to be approved to join, but once you ask for approval, I approve everyone that asks. I just try to maintain some integrity there in the group, so I try to pay attention to make sure it's not somebody that just wants to come and advertise for, knockoff sunglasses or something, because we get kind of, spammy people every once in a while. But it is a free group. So I
am in that group. There is a wealth of knowledge in that group. Everybody is so wonderful. If you have a question, you can go in there, and everybody's just so wonderful to come in, and help you out on the thread.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there is a ton of newbies in there, but there are some ladies who have been in business a few years. I'll help anybody. So, I say that I help aspiring, newbie, and struggling virtual assistants. And I have other ladies that have come in the group that are seasoned DAs that are just there to be encouraging and to say, hey, we did this, you can do this too. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say, I want to invite you over there. Because for me, working from home, one of the only downsides that I see of working from home is that you are isolated many times. You might not see other adults as much. The only reason I am able to see other people is through outside activities that I have, such as volunteering at my kids' school and going to church and things like that. And so it can be isolating. So I have tons of great relationships that I've found online by finding encouragement and support through groups like mine and other groups. I'm a part of other groups that I network with. So there's definitely places that you can go for, encouragement and support. And I also want to invite you, the last step is just to learn more, to learn as much as you can about becoming a virtual assistant. There are plenty of free resources. I provide a ton of free resources at AlyssaAvant.com. And I also have a book, How to Start a Virtual Assistant Business, that is on kind of walks you through these steps in more detail. So, I'd like to invite everyone on that's listening to check that out as well. But between the two things, you will get a ton of encouragement to provide that to those who are wanting to get started.
Right. Well, Alyssa, you have provided some excellent information, not just for virtual assistants, but for any small business. I think, any small business would put certain things in place to be, to set out to be successful, such as setting goals, having a business plan, all of those things. So I think, this is, you've provided some excellent information for small businesses as well. How about if we open up the lines and for any callers who may have some questions regarding some of the steps that you went through, and I'm going to give out the number for those who may be listening online. The number to call in is 773-897-6398. That number again is 773-897-6398. If you have some questions for Alyssa, we are going to open the lines. Give me 1 second here. Okay, the lines are open. Is there anybody out there that has some questions for Alyssa? The birds are chirping, Alyssa. The lines are open.
I have a question. Let's look at maybe retired teachers, people that's retired, young, who we know now that the educational system is pretty much running away teachers from the classroom because of all the mandates and things of that nature. Would good people to actually, get involved, to solicit them for, actually becoming a virtual assistant?
that is an amazing knowledge base to draw from. I actually have taught school myself. I did that for 2 years and discovered it was not for me. But I know that the skills that it takes to run a classroom are very, very good skills to have in business. Learn so much running a classroom, and those are skills that are definitely marketable. The organization that it takes, just all the things that it takes to run a classroom can be put into business and can be marketed to those that need that type of help. Plus, just editing, especially if you're in English departments or have that background, editing and formatting and things like that for authors and for those that provide training materials, or even to create your own training materials, or to help others to do that, is something that someone from a teacher's background could do. If you were a math teacher, I know that one of the VAs that I just recently trained in my training program has started a bookkeeping business, and she just has, she has those skills that will allow her to do the things that are needed to be done for those in small business that need bookkeeping. So those are just a couple of examples that I believe that teachers could bring to the table.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that question is because I was noticing, as you outlined from 1 through 10, some of the qualities, the characteristics, and the attributes that you felt a virtual assistant needed. And when you compare, juxtapose the virtual assistant to a teacher, they have to have good organizational skills, good classroom skills, good speaking skills, good writing skills, and all of those things that would make them a good virtual assistant. And the reason why I'm asking, because I'm almost certain whether it's doing the archives that they listen to live right now, this might give other people the opportunity, because we do know, once again, that many are retired now. A lot are looking outside of the classroom, even with a college degree, because they're just not getting paid a lot here in Louisiana. I know specifically because I represent a school system and have for the last 23 years. So I know that they are actually out there looking. So I guess my next question is this. Let's say like at job fairs and things like that, how can a virtual assistant get set up for something like that? Or do you specifically advise that they even get involved in job fairs and things like that to solicit? Because I venture to say that a lot of people that's listening, including myself, had absolutely no idea what a VA/virtual assistant would be, or what they would be doing, so forth and so on. So I think you provided a lot of information.
Oh, yes, sir. I would say that, for me, I don't know about your community, but for me, most people don't know what a virtual assistant is. I say the term, and their eyes glaze over, and they kind of look at me dumbfounded. They just don't know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So as far as being involved in job fairs or business fairs and career fairs in my community, it would not be advantageous for me. Mm-hmm. Or for people who are looking to do the type of work that I do. It would be more to your advantage to get involved online with networking groups and things. For example, if you know what specific target market and who you want to work with, the best platform for professionals to find other professionals and to find the type of people that you would want to do business with is LinkedIn, which is more professional. It is a more career-oriented network of people. It is you can provide your resume there. You can set up a resume there. There's many times where I have seen that you can go to other websites that are, job websites, that you can pull your LinkedIn resume over to that job site to apply for that job. But the difference in this in being a virtual assistant. The difference is instead of doing that, instead of going to apply for, jobs out in the community, what you would do is you would use that resource of LinkedIn to network with other individuals. Like, for example, one of the things that I do on a regular basis, my target market is authors, speakers, and coaches. As a virtual assistant, I want to provide services to authors, speakers, and coaches, mainly because I have authored a book, I've done some speaking in the past, and I know their area of expertise. I know what it takes to do those things. And so those are the people I want to work with. So I go on LinkedIn on a regular basis, and I just search. It has a great search engine there. I search for authors. I search for speakers. I search for business coaches, and I make connections with them. You can choose to connect with them, and I make connections with them, and that they read my profile and my resume, and many times without me even having to do anything, they reach out and say, I didn't know that there was somebody that could help me with this. I didn't realize that there was a such thing as a VA. Or they say, I've heard of a VA, let me know what you can do for me. Many times I just reach out to them after they've made the connection, and I say, would you like to connect? I'd love to see how we might work together. You could do that with just about any professional target group of people out there, and that's a great way to get started. I would do that over going to a job fair any day because the terminology is just not well known. But online, if people are online and they are networking in these types of places, they are more open to the idea. They have more knowledge of what goes on online and what is available.
Okay.
Alicia, now that you're, I'm sorry, Mr. Glass, go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Facebook and the networking side of it, would you say, how important would you say the marketing part of your business is?
If I stop marketing, my business stops thriving. It stops growing. And in the early days of business, I made that mistake. I would market. I would do things to put myself out there, and then I would get clients, and then I would stop marketing, work for those clients, and I would get to a place where, oh my goodness, I'm sinking. The boat's sinking. It was just,
right.
It was exhausting because I would have feast or famine. So now that I know what I know, like earlier I said, I have to continue to market. And so I have a reminder in my project manager on my computer that reminds me every Wednesday to send some type of marketing out. Every week I need to, have you sent a lead? To do, but networking is my number, and marketing through networking and what I call relationship marketing is my one way to get clients. I know that takes time, but it also gives you clients that are more likely to stick around rather than someone you have no prior relationship with. You've just met them and they just need a job done and they found you on one of the like the freelancing websites. I have had clients that are sustainable, that are stick around longer when I have met them through some type of networking or referrals or things like that. And I get the project. Usually they pay me for that project, and unless we had some connection and some really good reason, they don't normally stick around. but the ones that I have networked with and met through another client or met through an organization that I was a part of online, those people stick it out. And, you know, I'm still working with them a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road.
Right. So you feel like, is it appropriate then to incorporate into your daily routine a certain amount of time to set aside just strictly for marketing and networking?
Yes, I network every single day, whether it be 99.9% of mine is done online. I live in a small community. I have never done business with, or I've never gone out in my community to market my business, though I have had some local business owners or local business professionals find out that I did say, like, that I do websites and say, could you do me a website? I've had some of that happen through my contacts or my husband's contacts. You know, they understand that I did websites, so they've come to me for that. But 99.9% of the time, my business comes from online, and so I spend time networking every day. I might not be trying to sell anything, but I'm trying to get to know people. But as far as marketing, I at least once a week send some sort of marketing email or follow-up or connection that I want to make to market my business.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Is there anyone else that has any questions for Alicia? Okay, Alicia, we have about 2 minutes left, so I am going to give you the opportunity to give out any information, contact information, which you have added your website and your Facebook group. But if there's any other information that you would like for the listeners to have and how they can reach you or anything about your books, feel free to give that information out.
Yes. Okay. So, again, I just wanted to remind you about the group on Facebook. You can go and search for How to Start a Virtual Assistant Business, and you'll find the free Facebook group. And then my website is AlyssaAvant.com, which is ALYSSAAV as in Victor, ANT.com. And there you will find some free downloads. You will find the link to the book. And also there's a link at the top called free webinars or called webinars. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it says. The latest webinar that I did was called Create Virtual Success. And you can actually, if you sign up for that, you can actually get the replay because that is past. It's the most recent webinar that I did. And I do a free webinar the first Thursday of every month. So the next free webinar that will be coming up will be January 7th, and I'm going to be getting up that information in the next few days. So if you get in the group or start following the website, you'll be seeing notice on social media and in the group about that webinar. I do, as far as I invite the group members every first Thursday of every month to a free webinar on something related to being a virtual assistant.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I have attended your events, and they're a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun. So yes, I would encourage the listeners to go over to the Facebook group and make the connection there, and then follow you. And that the group is an excellent source of information as far as you're always so good about putting out your scopes and when you're going to be doing things, and so it's a lot of fun to follow you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love having you come to my Periscope. Periscope is another thing they can find me on. If you're familiar with Periscope, it's like a live streaming YouTube almost, and I do a Periscope every day at 2 p.m. Central. And I'm Alyssa Avant on that, too. I just try to keep it simple. I am my own name on every platform.
So they can find you on Twitter, then at Alyssa Avant, too.
As well. Right. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, every Instagram, every one of those platforms. I'm just Alyssa Avant, all lowercase.
Easy to find you. Well, I tell you, Alyssa, it has been a pleasure having you on tonight. You have provided some excellent information, and I look forward to staying in the group and participating in there and potentially having you back on again in the new year. I would love to do that.
That sounds great. I would love to do that. That would be awesome.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I want to thank you for coming on this evening, and I want to thank all of our listeners for joining us tonight. We hope that you have taken away some gold nuggets for your business, and this concludes tonight's broadcast. Good night, everybody.